What if the love you're questioning is actually stronger than you think? Sometimes we focus so much on what's missing that we overlook what's consistently there. Not every kind of love is loud or dramatic. Some of it shows up quietly, in effort, in patience, in someone choosing to stay when it would be easier to walk away. You might be looking for perfect words while they're offering steady actions. You might be measuring intensity while they're proving commitment through endurance. Before you decide it's over, it's worth asking yourself, have they really stopped loving, or are they just loving in a quieter way? Love is often misunderstood because people expect it to feel intense all the time. They look for dramatic declarations, overwhelming passion, constant excitement. But real love, the kind that lasts, rarely lives in constant intensity. Intensity rises and falls. It depends on mood, circumstance, timing. Consistency, on the other hand, is steady. It is quieter. It does not demand attention, yet it quietly proves devotion. When someone truly loves you, they may not always be expressive in grand ways, but they remain present. They stay engaged. They return. And that steady presence carries more weight than 1,000 emotional peaks. Think about how intensity behaves. It can be powerful in the beginning. Messages come quickly, emotions feel amplified. There is anticipation and urgency, but intensity is often fueled by novelty. It thrives on the unknown. When life settles into routine, intensity naturally softens. Many people mistake this shift as fading love, when in reality it may be transforming into something deeper. Consistency is what remains after excitement stabilizes. It is the decision to continue showing up when things feel normal, ordinary, even imperfect. Consistency reveals intention. A person who loves you does not only appear when it is convenient. They do not vanish at the first sign of difficulty. Instead, they remain engaged through small daily efforts. They check in, they listen, they make time even when schedules are full. These actions may not look dramatic from the outside, but psychologically they require commitment. The unconscious invests energy where there is meaning. Repeated effort over time shows that the connection holds value. There is something grounding about steady love. It may not feel overwhelming, but it feels safe. You begin to notice that this person responds reliably. They do not fluctuate wildly between extremes. Even when disagreements happen, they do not disappear emotionally. They may need space, but they return to resolve. That return is important. It signals that the bond matters more than temporary discomfort. Intensity might burn brightly and then fade. Consistency builds slowly and stays. It is also important to recognize that some people are not naturally expressive in dramatic ways. They may struggle with emotional language. They may not always articulate their feelings fluently, but they show love through reliability, through actions that repeat, through small gestures done without being asked, picking up on your needs, remembering what matters to you, standing beside you during stress. These patterns carry depth. They reflect an internal choice being made again and again. Consistency also requires maturity. It is easy to be passionate when everything feels exciting. It is harder to remain present when life becomes complicated. Work pressures, misunderstandings, personal struggles, these test connection. A person who truly loves you does not run from every challenge. They may not handle everything perfectly, but they remain engaged in the process. Their presence becomes a quiet reassurance that the relationship is not disposable. Over time, steady love builds trust. You begin to feel less anxious about where you stand. Not because of grand speeches, but because the pattern of behavior reassures you. The human nervous system responds to reliability. When someone's actions match their intentions repeatedly, it creates emotional security. That security is a sign of depth. It shows that love is not dependent on mood alone. Intensity can feel powerful, but it is consistency that proves devotion. It is the steady hand rather than the loud voice. It is the repeated choice rather than the sudden declaration. When someone continues to show up, continues to invest, continues to care in small but meaningful ways, that steadiness speaks clearly. Real love does not always shout. Often, it stays. The unconscious shows commitment through action long before words fully capture it. People often believe commitment is something formally decided, something spoken out loud and agreed upon clearly. But psychologically, commitment begins beneath awareness. It reveals itself in repeated behavior, in small choices made consistently over time. A person may not always articulate how deeply they care, yet their actions quietly demonstrate it. The unconscious invests energy where there is meaning. When someone continually directs time, attention, and effort toward you, that pattern is not random. It reflects inner attachment that has already taken root. You can see this in how they respond to difficulty. When tension arises, it would be easier to withdraw completely. Walking away often protects pride and avoids discomfort. But when someone truly cares, they tend to lean back in after space. They attempt to repair, they revisit conversations, they try again, even if awkwardly. These repeated efforts are powerful signals. The unconscious does not push someone to re-engage unless the bond carries significance. Action reveals value more clearly than emotional language ever could. Commitment through action also appears in reliability. They follow through on plans. They remember important details. They keep promises, even small ones. These may seem ordinary, but psychologically they represent stability. Following through requires intention. It requires prioritizing the relationship over distractions or impulses. When someone repeatedly chooses to honor their word, they are demonstrating that the connection holds weight in their internal hierarchy of importance. Another sign of unconscious commitment is integration. They begin weaving you into their daily world, not in dramatic announcements, but in subtle inclusion. Mentioning you in conversations, considering your schedule when making plans, thinking about how choices might affect you. These adjustments happen gradually. Often they do not even realize they are doing it. But the psyche naturally integrates what feels emotionally significant. When someone starts aligning their life with yours in small ways, it signals deeper attachment forming beneath the surface. There is also the effort made during ordinary moments. Grand gestures can be fueled by emotion, but steady effort in routine situations reveals something stronger. Checking in after a long day, offering help without being asked, listening when tired. These actions are not driven by excitement. They are driven by care. The unconscious motivates these behaviors because it recognizes the relationship as meaningful. Love often hides in these quiet repetitions. Sometimes people struggle to express vulnerability directly. They may not say, "I'm committed" in clear language, but watch what they do when life becomes inconvenient. Do they still make space? Do they still communicate? Do they still show concern? Commitment expressed through action remains steady even when emotion fluctuates. Feelings can be intense one day and calmer the next. But actions repeated over time create a pattern. That pattern reveals inner dedication. What makes unconscious commitment powerful is that it is authentic. It is not performed for approval. It emerges naturally from attachment. A person who does not truly care may talk about future plans but fail to act consistently. Someone who truly cares may struggle with words yet remain present through behavior. The body and daily choices often reveal what the conscious mind has not fully verbalized. In the end, repeated effort is rarely accidental. When someone consistently invests time, attention, and emotional energy, they are showing you where their heart is anchored. Commitment is not proven by intensity alone. It is proven by persistence. And persistence comes from something deeper than temporary emotion. Many people assume that if love is real, it should feel smooth and effortless all the time. So when conflict appears, doubt follows quickly. But struggle does not cancel love. In fact, struggle often reveals how much something matters. When two individuals care deeply, their differences, fears, and unresolved parts come closer to the surface. Love has a way of exposing what we have not yet healed. That exposure can feel uncomfortable, even destabilizing. Yet discomfort does not mean the absence of feeling. Sometimes it means the connection is touching something important enough to require growth. Every person carries inner conflicts, habits formed in the past, protective patterns, fears of rejection or loss. When love becomes real, those inner structures are tested. A person may react defensively during disagreement, not because they do not care, but because they care enough to feel threatened by potential loss. The stronger the attachment, the stronger the reaction can sometimes be. This does not justify harmful behavior, but it helps explain why love and struggle often exist side by side. The bond activates vulnerability, and vulnerability can feel overwhelming. It is also important to understand that love brings two different histories together. No two people think, communicate, or respond in identical ways. Misunderstandings are inevitable. Even sincere people will misread tone or intention. The presence of friction does not automatically mean love is missing. What matters more is how both individuals respond after the friction. Do they attempt to repair? Do they reflect? Do they show willingness to understand? The effort to move through conflict often says more about love than the absence of conflict ever could. Sometimes struggle comes from fear rather than lack of care. A person who loves deeply may fear losing the connection. That fear can create tension, insecurity, or moments of withdrawal. They may need time to process their emotions. They may not always respond perfectly. But if they return with sincerity, if they try again after distance, that return signals attachment. Love is not measured by flawless behavior. It is measured by the desire to maintain connection, even when it feels difficult. There is also the reality that growth takes time. When someone truly loves you, they may not immediately know how to navigate the intensity of that feeling. They may need to confront parts of themselves they have avoided. That internal work can look messy from the outside. But the presence of struggle does not erase the presence of care. Often, it proves that the relationship has depth. Shallow connections rarely provoke deep inner work. Meaningful ones do. It helps to observe patterns rather than isolated moments. One disagreement does not define the entire bond. One misunderstanding does not erase consistent effort. If, despite challenges, the person continues to invest time, continues to communicate, continues to show concern, that pattern holds significance. Struggle becomes part of the process rather than proof of absence. Love is not a constant state of ease. It is a dynamic process between two evolving individuals. Conflict, doubt, and tension can coexist with genuine affection. What determines the truth of love is not whether struggle appears, but whether both people are willing to stay engaged through it. When someone chooses connection again after difficulty, that choice carries weight. Fear can quietly sit beside love, sometimes so close that it becomes difficult to tell them apart. When someone truly cares, the stakes feel higher. The possibility of loss becomes real. That awareness can trigger protective instincts. A person may hesitate, withdraw briefly, or struggle to express how much they feel. From the outside, this can look like uncertainty, but internally, it may be the weight of caring deeply. The more meaningful the connection, the more vulnerable a person becomes. Vulnerability can be unsettling, especially for someone who is not used to depending on another person emotionally. Fear often masks devotion because it tries to shield the heart. If someone has experienced disappointment before, they may instinctively guard themselves when love feels serious. They might slow down emotionally, not because they lack feeling, but because they are trying to protect what matters. It is easier to appear slightly distant than to risk being fully open and possibly hurt. This defensive posture is not always obvious. It can show up as overthinking, hesitation in conversations about the future, or occasional emotional retreat after moments of closeness. Sometimes fear creates mixed behavior. One day they are warm and deeply engaged. Another day they seem quieter or cautious. This fluctuation can be confusing, but it often reflects internal conflict rather than lack of love. Part of them wants to lean in completely. Another part is calculating the risk. When someone feels nothing, they remain steady in indifference. When someone feels deeply but fears losing control, their behavior may shift as they try to balance attachment with self-protection. Fear can also make a person minimize their own emotions. They may downplay how much they care. They might joke instead of speaking sincerely. They may avoid labeling the relationship clearly, not because the feeling is absent, but because naming it makes it real. Once something is real, it can be lost, and loss feels heavier when love is genuine. The psyche sometimes delays full acknowledgement as a way to manage that weight. What matters most is what happens beneath the fear. Does the person continue showing up despite their hesitation? Do they still invest time and energy? Do they respond when you need them? Fear may slow expression, but it rarely stops genuine devotion from finding ways to act. If someone repeatedly returns, makes effort, and stays engaged even while struggling with vulnerability, that persistence signals depth. The heart often moves forward, even when the mind hesitates. Sometimes we underestimate quiet love because it doesn't match the image we were taught to expect. We're used to dramatic gestures, passionate speeches, and obvious reassurance. But real love often matures into something less theatrical and more grounded. It becomes visible in routines, in reliability, in the way someone factors you into their daily decisions without needing applause for it. That kind of love doesn't try to impress you every day. It tries to build something steady. It's also important to remember that love and personality are not the same thing. Some people are naturally expressive and emotionally transparent. Others are reserved, reflective, and slower to verbalize what they feel. When you expect love to look identical in every person, you risk misreading sincerity. A quiet person may love deeply but show it through action rather than words. They might fix problems, make space in their schedule, or remember the smallest details because that's how they communicate care. One of the hardest things about love is that it doesn't always feel secure, even when it's real. Doubt can grow quietly, especially if you've been hurt before or if expectations aren't being met in the exact way you imagined. When that doubt shows up, it can distort perception. You begin to focus on what's lacking instead of what's consistently present. You might overlook steady effort because it feels ordinary, but often, what is ordinary is exactly what makes love sustainable. It helps to look at how someone behaves when there is nothing to gain. Do they still reach out when there's no celebration, no special occasion? Do they still care about your day when it's routine and uneventful? Real love often shows itself in the everyday. It's in the small check-ins, the remembered details, the quiet support when you're stressed. These actions don't demand attention, but they build trust over time. Another important part of this topic is understanding emotional pacing. Not everyone processes feelings at the same speed. One person may want clarity and reassurance immediately. The other may need time to sort through what they feel before expressing it clearly. That difference in pace can create tension, but slower expression does not automatically mean weaker love. Sometimes it means the person is taking their feelings seriously, trying to understand them fully before speaking. It's also worth recognizing that people don't always show love in the way they personally prefer to receive it. Someone might think they are being obvious in their devotion because they are showing up physically, solving problems, or making practical sacrifices. Meanwhile, you may be waiting for verbal affirmation. Both can be expressions of care, just in different languages. When love languages don't align perfectly, misunderstandings can grow even when affection is present. You may also notice that when someone truly loves you, they consider the long-term impact of their actions. They think before making decisions that could harm the relationship. They may reflect after disagreements and attempt to adjust. That kind of self-awareness doesn't come from indifference. It comes from wanting the bond to remain intact. Love motivates reflection because losing the connection would feel significant. Sometimes giving up feels easier than staying patient. Walking away can feel like regaining control, but before making that choice, it's important to ask whether the relationship is truly empty or simply imperfect. No bond between two human beings will be flawless. What matters is whether there is mutual effort, mutual care, and a shared desire to grow. Real love is rarely loud all the time. It settles into something steady. It becomes part of your daily life in ways that may not feel dramatic, but feel grounding. If someone continues choosing you, continues investing, and continues trying even when it's inconvenient, that kind of devotion deserves thoughtful consideration. Not every quiet love is weak. Some of the strongest ones simply don't feel the need to prove themselves every day. Another thing people overlook is how love evolves. In the beginning, everything feels heightened. There's novelty, anticipation, intensity. Over time, those emotions settle. That doesn't mean the connection has faded. It means it's shifting into something more sustainable. Deep love is less about adrenaline and more about partnership. It's about knowing someone's flaws and still choosing them. It's about staying present when life becomes ordinary or stressful. There are also moments when doubt creeps in, simply because things aren't perfect. A disagreement happens. Communication falters. One person becomes quiet. It's easy to interpret these moments as signs that love is disappearing. But healthy love doesn't eliminate conflict. It survives it. In fact, working through tension can strengthen connection when both people are willing to reflect and adjust. The presence of effort after difficulty often says more than the absence of difficulty ever could. You may also notice that someone who truly loves you is affected by your well-being. Your mood influences theirs. Your struggles matter to them. They pay attention, sometimes in subtle ways. They might not always know the perfect thing to say, but they care enough to try. That willingness to try again is significant. Indifference rarely makes repeated effort. Love does. It's worth observing patterns rather than isolated incidents. Anyone can have an off day. Anyone can miscommunicate. But if the larger pattern shows consistency, concern, and repeated choice, that foundation is meaningful. Love is built on those patterns. It's not proven by a single grand moment. It's proven over time. Before giving up, it helps to step back and look at the full picture. Are they still showing up? Are they still making room for you? Are they still investing energy into understanding and growing? If the answer is yes, even imperfectly, there may be something real worth protecting. Sometimes love doesn't need more intensity. Sometimes it needs patience, perspective, and the courage to see what's already there. It is important to distinguish fear-driven hesitation from true disinterest. Disinterest withdraws and does not return. Fear may step back briefly, but remains emotionally connected. You can often sense the difference in tone, in effort, in the subtle ways they check in or show concern. Fear does not erase attachment. It simply complicates how it appears. Understanding this helps reduce unnecessary doubt. When you recognize that fear can coexist with love, You begin to look at patterns instead of isolated moments. If someone's actions consistently reflect care, even when their words are cautious, that contradiction may not signal absence. It may reveal someone learning how to hold something precious without being overwhelmed by the possibility of losing it. Endurance is one of the clearest indicators of depth in any relationship. Anyone can stay when things feel easy, exciting, and uncomplicated. But when misunderstandings happen, when stress builds, when emotions become heavy, that is where truth begins to show. If someone continues choosing connection during those moments, it reveals something steady underneath temporary discomfort. Love that is shallow tends to disappear at the first sign of difficulty. Love that runs deeper may bend, may strain, but it does not break easily. Endurance is not dramatic. It is quiet persistence when walking away would feel simpler. Choosing connection repeatedly requires intention. After an argument, pride often tempts a person to withdraw permanently. It feels safer to protect the ego than to repair the bond. But when someone values you deeply, they usually find their way back. They may need space to process, but they do not stay distant indefinitely. The return itself carries meaning. It shows that maintaining the relationship matters more than preserving temporary control. Endurance appears in that willingness to repair rather than replace. There is also endurance in everyday life. When responsibilities grow, when schedules become demanding, when moods fluctuate, a person who truly loves you still makes room. Not always perfectly, not always gracefully, but consistently. They adjust, they communicate, they try. The attempt is significant. It reflects that the connection is not seen as optional. It holds weight in their internal priorities. Endurance is not about dramatic sacrifice. It is about steady presence through changing circumstances. Sometimes endurance looks like patience. A person may stay engaged while both of you work through misunderstandings. They may listen again even after repeating themselves. They may give reassurance more than once. These repeated efforts can feel small in the moment, but over time they reveal commitment. If someone were indifferent, they would not invest that kind of energy. Endurance requires emotional stamina, and people rarely expend that stamina where they feel no depth. Endurance also shows in long-term thinking. When someone continues imagining a shared future despite present challenges, that perspective indicates attachment. They do not view temporary tension as the final definition of the relationship. Instead, they see it as part of a larger journey. This broader view reflects emotional grounding. It suggests they are invested not just in moments, but in continuity. It is important to understand that endurance does not mean tolerating harm or ignoring serious issues. Healthy endurance is mutual effort to grow and improve. It involves addressing problems rather than pretending they do not exist. When someone stays and actively works toward better understanding, that effort demonstrates sincerity. They are not clinging out of fear, they are choosing out of care. Over time, endurance builds trust. When you see that a person remains through ups and downs, it creates a sense of stability. You begin to feel that the connection is not fragile. That reliability becomes a quiet reassurance. Endurance transforms love from a feeling into a steady foundation. Depth is proven over time. Words can be intense in the beginning, but only endurance confirms their truth. When someone continues to choose you, especially when circumstances test that choice, it reveals that their attachment is not surface level. It is rooted in something strong enough to withstand difficulty. When you look at everything together, the picture becomes clearer. Real love is not always loud, perfect, or effortless. It does not always arrive wrapped in dramatic words or flawless behavior. More often, it shows itself in consistency, in repeated effort, in quiet endurance. It appears in the way someone keeps choosing connection even when things feel complicated. It shows in their willingness to grow, to face fear, to work through misunderstandings rather than escape them. Love can coexist with struggle. It can exist alongside hesitation. It can move forward even while someone is still learning how to express it fully. What truly matters is the pattern. Do they stay engaged? Do they try again? Do they continue investing time, energy, and care despite imperfections? Before giving up, it is important to look beyond single moments of doubt and see the larger rhythm of the relationship. If this person consistently shows up, continues to make space for you, and remains present through difficulty, that steadiness speaks volumes. Real love is rarely flawless, but it is persistent, and persistence is not something people offer lightly.